So good to be with you again. My name is Jeff Fuller. You can certainly find more interviews at J Fuller Interviews on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and it's the Facebook group J Fuller Interviews. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. At the bottom of this screen, there's a little greater than icon, and just click on there, and you can certainly subscribe to J Fuller Interviews. And right now, you can follow Coach Salerno at Coach Salerno1 on Twitter. Coach, good to have you.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
And so we had you on a little bit before, but it was kind of the ghetto studio, and this isn't a lot better, but at least we have you on. I just want to jump to it. The NBL of Canada, there's 9 teams. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you first went with the Island Storm. Could you just talk about that opportunity and about the league in particular?
Yeah. So the Island Storm was a team I was with for 6 years here in the NBL Canada. I joined them the inaugural season of the NBL Canada. Like I said, I was there for 6 years, which was located on Prince Edward Island, which was a beautiful place to move to from Vermont. Certainly, I wasn't that used to living around an ocean, and all of a sudden we were living on an island in Atlantic Canada. But it was great. It was a great place to live and kind of start my family. The NBL Canada, is a league. It's been around for almost 9 seasons now. It's a very high level of play. It's a high caliber of basketball, just due to the fact that each team can carry up to 7 imports on one of their rosters. 7 players per team, are guys coming from major NCAA Division I programs, and it's a pretty high level of play up here, and we play in great arenas, and it's a young league. It's still only 9 years old, but again, it's a very high level of talent, and really a fun league to be part of.
And then last year, you were able to reach the pinnacle, winning the championship with the Moncton Magic. That's New Brunswick, Canada, not New Brunswick, New Jersey. When I went to college in Sussex, New Brunswick, people always said, "Hey, are you in New Jersey?" And I'm like, no, different place. Talk about that experience last year, winning the championship, reaching the mountaintop, the pinnacle. Was it as good as you had hoped?
It was. I mean, I can't lie and downplay it. It really truly was. I mean, it was something that I'd been close to before. I'd been to 2 other NBL Canada finals. It came up short in both of those. Actually, the second time I went to the finals, I actually lost in a game 7, which was extremely difficult to overcome and kind of swallow that pill. But last year, again, when you work towards something for so long, and for me, it had been like 8 seasons that I was trying to accomplish this goal and win a national championship here in Canada. So, once I finally kind of got that done, it was an incredible feeling. It was a feeling of obviously joy and a little bit of relief, kind of a weight lifted off your shoulders, and certainly a feeling I'll never forget. And we had such a great team and a great group of guys and a great organization. It was incredible. It was an incredible feeling.
And I listened to one interview, and you spoke about the Toronto Raptors winning the NBA championship and what that's doing for Canada as a whole. Could you just speak to that again? Do you think there's more excitement for basketball now with the Raptors winning and also with the success of the NBL Canada?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, basketball in Canada is the fastest growing sport there is, in this country. And, obviously the Toronto Raptors winning an NBA championship was huge. It just turned so many people, so many Canadians. I mean, really only having one NBA team in the country, they have an awful lot of fans. So, with their success, I think it got a lot of people who may not have been basketball people or basketball fans kind of tuned in, and they kind of wanted to follow the Raptors and kind of see what was going on and just be part of something that was really big, here in Canada. So they significantly have helped grow the game, with their success over the recent years. And of course, with the NBL Canada, being in a lot of local markets, really from central to eastern Canada, that's a big part of what we do, and that's really kind of grow the game of basketball and get youth players excited about it. And it's something for a young player to be able to see these professional athletes in person and to meet them, and maybe they visited their school or whatnot. And what that does, I mean, it really think it starts creating new fans of the game. So yeah, the Raptors' success, kind of us winning the NBL championship the same year the Raptors won the NBA championship. It was huge. It was certainly huge in the city of Moncton. So it was a great year. I mean, it was one again. I won't ever forget.
And then you were named the coach of the year. Did they name that award before the championship, or is it like the NBA similar awards to before the preseason? It was determined that you were the coach of the year.
I was given that award before the championship. It's a regular season award. So yeah, I mean, it was a nice accolade to have. That's a great photo there. Me and my family there. I think that was me being honored with the Coach of the Year award just before Game One of the finals. I think for that season. So no, that was a regular season where we had a great regular season, and we had another great one this year. Before obviously everything was unfortunately come to a halt with the coronavirus. So, but yeah, that's actually one of my favorite photos you have right there.
And then you win the championship, but then you're named coach of the year again, back to back. Coach of the year. How bittersweet was it knowing that you did not get to participate in the playoffs this season?
It was really tough. It was really tough. I mean, my team this year, we had 7 guys back from that championship team in 2018-19, and we just had great chemistry. It was just such a great group of guys, and they were so familiar playing with each other. Everyone kind of already understood their role, and just kind of had each other's back. And it really was kind of probably the best team I've been part of was this year's team. We added a couple great new pieces as well from that championship team. But we were 19-4. We were on an 8-game winning streak, and really playing more dominant basketball than I've seen anybody play in this league. We were really kind of clicking on all cylinders. So, to have the season abruptly come to an end was really difficult. I think we were on a path to certainly be competitive and in the playoffs and really compete for a back-to-back championship. But it's unfortunate. There's certainly just there's things out there bigger than basketball, which it's hard to say when that's your livelihood and it's your profession. But I'm just glad that at least here in Canada, I mean, it seems like things are on the upswing a little bit with the coronavirus. But definitely a tough pill to swallow, Jeff. I would have loved to have finished that season and kind of see where we could have ended up.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about adding pieces? What does that look like as far as is it similar to other professional leagues, I imagine? But when the NBA, you also, well, with the documentary last night on ESPN with the decision and free agents and players getting to choose, do you seemingly have a little bit more control as a head coach and with the NBL of Canada of putting those pieces together versus having players given more control?
Yeah, no, I think I definitely do. With our league, actually, at the end of every season, each team submits a protected player roster. Um, and you can protect up to 7 players from last year's team that you basically still have exclusive negotiating rights with up to a certain point in the off season, where basically no other teams within the NBL Canada can sign that player. You kind of have the first right of refusal to try to get a deal done. So, when you're talking about adding pieces for the next season, you're really kind of starting with a base. You have a pretty good idea of who you may have returning from the previous year's team. And then it's really just kind of finding the right pieces that you need to kind of fill out that roster, or maybe making some improvements in some places that you might have struggled with the year before. But yeah, I mean, players, they may have an idea where they want to play, but it really comes down to the best fit and their salary, the best contract they can get, et cetera. So an awful lot goes into that kind of building and forming a roster with us. The majority of our guys are free agent guys, that I negotiate with and talk with and try to sign and bring here to Moncton. So it's a lot of work, but I like how it goes just for the fact I can kind of really pick and choose the guys I want and try to get deals done with them.
So the important question, where is the championship trophy right now?
The championship trophy is at our owner's house. I think it's at our owner's house, which I mean that's his trophy. This is his team. It was in my office for quite a while during the regular season this year, but during the off season it stays at our owner's house. So that's all right. We all got our championship rings, so I have that here with me at my house, and but it's great, man. It's really, really cool feeling to win a championship. It's the first championship I've ever won. I won a football championship in high school, but other than that, it's the first one I've ever won. So it really is just an incredible feeling. And I told all of our players, once you win a championship at any level, whether it's high school, whether it's college, professional, NBA, NBL, you're a champion. No one can ever take that away from you. So it's pretty cool.
So what happens when your son or daughter steals that ring and they just wear it to school to show it off and it falls off their hand somewhere?
Yeah, that was one of the first things my son Camden asked me. When we got our rings, he said, "Dad, can I take this into school? Can I show everybody?" I said, maybe if I come with you, sure, But yeah, it's in a box in my dresser, right? But it comes out on special occasions, and it's just a nice keepsake. I let the kids kind of wear it around the house if they want, but it doesn't really leave the house much.
Hey, so this is a picture of what coaching looks like more times than the fun times, I guess. When you're so frustrated, how do you stay motivated knowing that you're leading the team through that game, but also keeping your eye on the big picture as well?
Yeah, I mean, coaching, like any profession, there can be frustrating times, Obviously you have to always try. For me, I think I've actually grown a lot as a coach over the last couple of years. And one thing I've always tried to do is kind of exert whatever energy I have into the game, and into my players and into making adjustments on the fly, rather than taking that energy and taking it out on officials. Or you have such adrenaline during games, and you really have to just kind of stay focused on what's happening in the game, and are you making the adjustments to put your players in a position to be successful. And that's an old picture right there. That might have been my first or second year up here in Canada. But I don't think I have that facial expression as much anymore. But really, it's just always try to put your players first, and understand they're the guys out there on the court they're trying to win this ball game. So I have to be fully engaged with what's going on in the game all the time, and just trying to make the right adjustments for our guys.
So, Coach, this is an older picture too. Sorry, I'm going in and out of the screen, but my camera's set up poorly. So, when you were first named the replacement to Jeff Strom for the Vermont Frost Thieves, I spoke to Anna Grierson. Shout out to Anna. And I said, "Hey, Joe, I think he's over his skis. He just coached Montpelier High School. Now he's the head coach of the Frost Thieves." And she just gave me this look like, "Hey, he's going to be okay." And then, arrogant enough, the butt that I am, I said, "Was Joe even that good of a player in high school?" And she looked at me like, "You couldn't even compete." So you get that opportunity. You do have your doubters, you have your naysayers. But when did you know that you were supposed to coach? And when did you realize of this opportunity that you really had to grow in your coaching and relationship with players?
Well, that's nice of Anna to say. um, I wasn't ready to be the head coach of the Vermont Frost Thieves. I'll be the first guy to tell you that. I had been a high school coach for 3 or 4 years, and obviously I had about 5 months probably under Jeff Strom, so I certainly learned an awful lot, from him. But for me, I think the one thing I had going for me during that time with the Frosties is I really could relate with players. Considering I was roughly the same age. I was from the same era of basketball. Basketball evolves, from year to year. And again, me being very close to a lot of those players, same age, I kind of understood the game, how they played it or how they wanted to play it. I think I was pretty easy to talk to. And so those were all pluses that I did have. But as far as, being ready right then and there that first year, of course I wasn't. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, we could have had a really pretty good team. We had a good team anyway. But it's a great way to learn, being thrown into the fire. And I certainly was. I mean, I think I remember telling, Michael Healy at the time, I'm not ready to be a head coach. And he said, Joe, we really like your rapport with the players. And, I think you can do it. And I have faith in you. And, I mean, we ended up winning a few games that year. So it was tough. It was a difficult first couple years, being a head coach, being thrown into a fire. But it's the best way to learn. And I certainly wouldn't be where I'm at today without that experience in Vermont.
Well, I think you have the coach's voice. You have that deep, bassy voice, so that gets everyone's attention. Hey, I remember attending one of the first games. It must have been an exhibition game or preseason game, and you were an assistant. And Bobby Shed, local hometown Johnson, Vermont product, was on the end of the bench. He wasn't going to get much playing time, and I remember you went to Coach Strom, and you said something, and Strom kind of looked at you, and then you said something back. Then he went down to the end of the bench, pointed to Bobby, and Bobby got his like 5 minutes a run of the season. Can you just talk about what prompted you to maybe relate to a hometown kid to get that opportunity? Do you even remember that?
I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember that. I'm sure I was just trying to give Jeff my opinion. I think that's what you want assistant coaches to do. You don't always want yes men, as they call them, and guys that are just going to go along and agree with what the head coach says all the time. I mean, I know I've had a great coaching staff over my last 3 years here in Moncton. And I want those assistants to always kind of give me their opinion on what's going on in the game, give me their thoughts, give me their feedback, make suggestions. Sometimes I'll take those suggestions, sometimes I won't. But for me, I'm trying to think back to that time. I mean, Bobby has always been a player who worked extremely hard in practice, and he had a great attitude. And if that was an exhibition game, I'm sure I made some kind of comment to Jeff about, hey, let's get Bobby an opportunity here to kind of show what he can do. And I don't remember that specific time, but Bobby's a great guy. He's always been a great guy, good player too. Always been a good player. And that's funny though. I see that photo there. He had some hops too. Bobby could get up a little bit, which is great. But yeah, I don't know if it had much to do with having the whole hometown guy thing. It was probably more, hey, this kid, busts his butt in practice every day. Let's give him an opportunity here. I'm sure it was probably along those lines. That was a long time ago, a lot of games ago, for me.
Hey, so then we look back at this high school photograph, and I think that's Chris in the middle. That kid's always had a beard. But can you just talk about talking about those high school kids, how impressionable they were, but just what an opportunity it was to teach more than basketball, especially at that level?
Yeah, I love that team, man. I loved coaching at Montpelier High School. I see actually Coach Foster there. He was an assistant of mine back then. He's still there now, which is great.
Yeah.
I just remember when I made the decision to leave Montpelier High School, as the head varsity coach there. I'd been the head varsity coach for 3 years there, I think. To leave there to take the assistant job with the Frosties, I remember how difficult it was for me to sit down and tell those seniors that were going to be seniors that had been with me for 3 years since moving up from JV, tell them I was leaving. Like, it was really, really difficult. And it was so difficult because I cared about them. I truly cared about those kids and how they were doing. And it was just a really difficult decision. So, I think I teared up when I told them that. Like, that's how much, I really had a great relationship with that group of guys. Andrew Gribben, Chris Gaborio, Evan Parker, Sam Brigham, Kyle Martin, Sean Dowland. I remember all those guys. I still talk with some of those guys. Sammy Brigham, I still talk to, often. So, coaching high school kids, that it was so much fun, and now coaching at this level and have coaching professionally now for 10 years. I mean, it's your job, it's a full-time job, and there's a lot of stresses and pressures that come with that, where I think coaching at the high school level, it's so much more about, helping develop those young players into young men, and being a role model and having great relationships. And yeah, my lone wolf team there that year. So, I miss it. I miss coaching those kids. It was a good time.
Now, thinking about these lone wolf kids, AAU and Vermont basketball, sometimes we think we're better than we are. And you just said that if you could take back what you've learned over the last 9 years to those Frost Chiefs days, you'd be a better coach, as we all would, with experience. Talking to those students now, if you could go back, what's some life advice you would tell them specifically about the sport of basketball?
Oh, just that it's not going to be easy. I remember, every one of those kids on that lone wolf team, Marcus Willingham and Chad Copeland, Jake Maynard. All those kids had aspirations to play college basketball, to play big time college basketball. And, I think what I would tell them is, they're learning an awful lot of life skills right then and there, being great teammates and being good people, and having a work ethic. And all that stuff is overlooked when you're in the moment playing at that level. You're thinking about college scholarships and wanting to play Division I basketball, and which is great. I mean, those are great goals to have, but I think it's really overlooked all the other skills that you're really gaining as a student athlete, at that age, and the relationships that you're making. And I'd probably talk to them a little bit about that, and when they're having an immature moment, or something like that. It's this is kind of molding you for down the road. I think that's important. I think that's overlooked at the high school level. And but man, I love that lone wolf team too. That was a great team to coach. It's making me smile seeing all these memories, man. It feels like so long ago, but it was, man, it's just been a lot of basketball over the last 12, 13 years.
Talk to me about your dad and your son and that relationship.
Uh, well, I mean, my dad is, I mean, he's my best friend. There's no doubt. I mean, he's the guy that got me into basketball. I mean, I remember my father. I think he was referring to football or basketball when I was a kid. Just always saying you're going to be a great coach someday. And I never thought anything of it. But I think I played every sport I could as a kid. Baseball, football, basketball. And I think I was more drawn to basketball just because of the relationship I had with my father. He was my coach from grade 2 or 3 all the way up to grade 8 in junior high. And I think I was probably more drawn to basketball because of that closeness, that relationship I have with my father. So, he loves the game of basketball. He watches all of our Magic games. He watches them the entire summer. I mean, he's watched more Magic games than I have. There's no question about it. So he's a big fan, and he loves chatting hoops. And of course, my son likes playing basketball. But he's a hockey player. Him and my daughter. And when we moved to Canada, Camden, who's 10 now, he was 14 months old when we moved here, and I told my wife, I said, the longer we stay in Canada, it's inevitable. He's going to become a hockey player. And he's played for 5 years now. And my daughter started playing hockey last year. So we still play a lot of hoops in the driveway, like right there. But yeah, they're both hockey pucks.
Hey, did your dad ever officiate any of your basketball games when you were coaching at Montpelier?
No, they wouldn't allow him.
Hmm.
The referee association, or they wouldn't allow him coach any of my games. I've seen him coach some games. I've seen his act before. But no, he's never done any of my games. I mean, if he did, I don't think it would have gone over that well, and especially me back then. I always look at it like he works for the dark side, and I'm a coach. I'm working for the good guys. But yeah, he's still officiating. He's been officiating a long time, around the Central Vermont area.
So, Coach, we're going to get you out in a little bit, but talking about the NBL of Canada, how can players or fans just watch games, get involved? How can they follow you? And then the follow-up question to that is, what are the plans for this fall, for this upcoming season?
Yeah, well, NBL Canada, obviously, I mean, they have, again, it's been around 9 years, and they have, great social media platforms. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at NBL Canada, or just Google National Basketball League of Canada. All of our games are streamed live online on a platform called nbllive.ca. And actually, right now, due to the coronavirus, all of our games, they're uploaded and you can view for free. Normally, it's like a pay-per-view during the season, but if you go to nblclive.ca, you can check out games from this year and last year. You can follow me on, like, I think you mentioned my Instagram and Twitter. I think it's at Coach Salerno or Coach Salerno1. Usually have a lot of content about our team and the league and things like that. But, as far as the league moving forward this fall, with COVID-19, the league has stated that it will be back for the 2021 season, starting in late December, I think is their hope right now. So we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, there's still some things up in the air, but I think that's when they're planning on coming back. It's kind of affecting recruiting and stuff is obviously going to be a little bit different this year, and I know the Magic. We've had a lot of success over the last couple of years with a lot of guys, and some of those guys are getting great opportunities overseas right now. And but that happens every year. You're kind of looking to potentially rebuild the roster. So, but yeah, man, it's a great league. It's great basketball. There's been some NBA guys. And actually, when we won that championship, Glenn Big Baby Davis played for the St. John's Edge. That's who we played in the finals that year. So that was interesting. But anyway, that's where you can find it all over online, social media, and if you're a basketball fan, it's a great league to follow. You'll probably recognize a lot of names from the NCAA Division I tournament and whatnot playing in our league.
Joe, thanks so much for making the time. It's always a pleasure. We wish you the best. Hopefully the borders open up and you can get back home. If you do, or when you do, we could go out and golf around. And so as long as it's cheap and only 9 holes, I'll pay. But
Yeah, no, hey man, I'd love to. Anytime there's golf involved, I'm count me in, and hopefully we can get back across the border and visit some friends and family down in the States this summer.
Hey, Joe, thanks again. Wish you all the best. Stay safe and get a basketball in those kids' hands. Take away the hockey stick or something. But hey, thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Take care.
And again, that's Joe Salerno Jr. Make some time. Back-to-back Coach of the Year of the NBL Canada for the Moncton Magic. You can certainly find information on that website. And we thank you just for making the time and being a part of Jay Fuller interviews on this Monday morning. You can certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the greater than sign at the bottom of the screen. All right. Thanks all. We'll talk to you later, and we'll catch up soon. Have a good one.